Hello, I am Deatra Howie, your 6 through 10 Social Studies Content Director. I want to thank you for joining us for this video, first of all. Whether you are currently attending the virtual training or if you are a returning teacher accessing this video to learn about the resources that we have for you. There are many components of our curriculum. The one I want to talk to you about today is your teacher resource manual. You have access to this if you were previously attended training. You have a hard copy of this, but there have been updates. There is also a copy made available to you within the training course and also in the Canvas course that you will receive access to once you complete training, or you already have access to as a teacher that is trained. So please join me as we explore our teacher resource manual. So this is your teacher resource manual. This is the digital format of it, of course. You will see our fair use statement. You will also see that you will be able to use a lot of elements within this book that I do think will be very helpful and valuable. So you will see that we have some of our core beliefs on this page. And then we give you an overview of our training, the Marzano elements that you did some pre-work with, and of course, a table of contents. I would like to thank all teachers that contributed to developing this information and these strategies. Of course, they were developed by Alabama teachers, and we have even featured some lessons that program teachers have created as well. So you will find our training overview. The training overview simply tells you what we think effective teacher professionalism is. We learn by doing, so there's just something great about when you get the opportunity to engage in a student experience as well. We all know that primary source analysis is extremely important in the social sciences. So we give you a few tools that you can use. One that we highly recommend is knowing what primary sources are. So at the beginning of the year, you want to make sure that you discuss with students what a primary source is. AP parts might be a strategy that you are familiar with. This is a tool that you can use to help students analyze primary source documents, and it just kind of gives them a format and a method to deconstructing those primary sources. We also have how you can do framing, which is a technique as well, especially with political cartoons. So moving forward, all of our strategies are based on Webb's depth of knowledge. So there are different levels of these strategies and different levels and directives. So we give you those levels, and we also give you a list which gives you common definitions. These definitions are extremely important. A good way to cover these are students need that common language. So if you can use these definitions all year long and your students become familiar with this, when they are confronted with these questions on exams or in questions or in prompts, they will know what those directives actually mean. And that's very important because you want students to know what they're required to do. So moving forward, we have another section on direct instruction. We know that direct instruction has to sometimes occur in the social studies classroom. We do recommend that it is limited, that it is strategic, and of course that the duration makes sense and is not beyond the attention span of your students. So we have some strategies that you can also utilize when it comes to direct instruction. Of course, chunking is a huge piece of this. Collaborative learning does have its place in the classroom, but collaborative learning is not just putting students in groups. They need structure. And this is something that you have to practice. So one really important thing to kind of look at and to examine is when you put students in groups, you want to make sure that they have responsibilities. Give them student roles. This is a very long list of different roles that students can take on to make sure each student is accountable and to also prevent one student from doing all of the work. And unfortunately, that happens too frequently when it comes to group work. So make sure you take a look at that. We also have a rubric that you can use when grading students to see how they're working in groups. Now, we know that we are most certainly in a digital age. So we have online content and subject matter resources that are broken down by the different grade levels. These are all hyperlinked to different sites. Some of these you may be familiar with and some you may not. I encourage you to explore the list. We have a pacing guide that will be covered in another video. So stay tuned for that. We know that vocabulary is a huge part of social studies. There are just some words that students have to be familiar with before they can understand a concept, a theme, even a historical event. So this vocabulary list has been developed from the Insight tool that is available on the Alex website within our Alabama course of study. And we have teacher vocabulary that the teacher should consider, but for the most part, it's also student vocabulary. And these are also broken down by the course and grade level. Now, last but most certainly not least, we know that once you do this training throughout the summer, you're going to forget some of these things, especially how do I teach the strategy, what's involved. So we have step-by-step instructions that, of course, give you the rationale. It gives you the reading and the writing strategy, reading and writing standard that this strategy aligns with, the materials that you need, background preparation if you do decide to take this to the next level and create your own. That is not required. But some teachers like to do that. They have primary sources that they like to use, and they want to use the strategy as well. We give you the procedure and often some examples, some generic examples or even content. Now, we also provide one of my favorite things is differentiation. People make differentiation seem like it's an elaborate concept, but it's not. We're just trying to see how we can address all learners within our classroom. So we have some suggestions for struggling students and as well as your advanced students. This is the major component of the teacher resource manual. I hope you enjoy this resource.